scrappy friends. I have a really fun layout for you today. I think you're going to be really um, excited for this one because this is the next installment of the 6 degrees of scraplifting, and I am scraplifting Christina today. So if you guys haven't heard of the series, then where have you been? No, just kidding. This is a fun series that was started by Leah over at the Surf Crafty channel, and it's Leah's plan to create or something like that, or scrap. But anyway, so Leah created this series. She thought it would be fun to do something like this where we all scrap lift each other, and so the premise behind it is that the first person creates a layout, and then everyone else scrap lifts the person before them. So none of us have seen the original except for the first person, or the person the first person and the person after that. And then after that, the rest of us haven't seen it. So it's really, really, really fun because you get to see this how a scrap lift gets changed, and you get to see everyone's style just kind of shine through, and I'm just finding it so much fun. So I'm really glad to be a part of this series, and like I said, I am scraplifting Christina. So the layout that you've seen at the beginning was the Christina's layout that I'm scraplifting, and it had this box of a big box of layers. Like half of it is almost with like 1 or 2 layers, and then on the other side it has a whole bunch of tags. Well, I'm gonna flip this, as you can see, and I'm gonna change up and switch the tags to frames, because even though I'm sure I have enough tags, I just thought it would be really fun to use some frames because I don't use them very often, and I don't know, it just felt right. Right? Sometimes you just get this idea and you just go with it. And that is what I did. I did do some mixed media, as you've seen. I used some shimmers, acrytones, and black. And I just made a few stripes. And then I just splattered some pink. Though I will say I wish I hadn't done that because it took forever to dry. This layout took a while to make, only because I had to wait for the stupid paint to dry. The shimmers dries like really fast, but that pink did not, and I kept having to hit it with my heat gun and hope that I wasn't going to hit it. And even when I'm adding these frames, the paint is still not done because it's regular acrylic paint and I just blobbed it. So word to the wise, if you're going to splatter regular paint that's not acrylic, you're gonna have to let it sit all like afternoon. Oh my gosh. So at this point, I'm played around quite a bit with these frames, and I wasn't sure if I wanted that small blue frame or gonna use those some tags. I kind of thought it would be fun to add some tags since there were tags in the original. But then I got this idea that, hey, wouldn't it be kind of fun if I moved around where that big box was? Because I thought about stitching on this box. I had to step away for a minute from this because I was kind of having I think it was because there's a lot going on in the original that I got. And I just wasn't sure what parts I wanted to take for me. And this is the thing that I do with scraplifting. I know I generally change scrap lifts quite a bit, and that's my personality. I just have to make it me. And it wasn't that I didn't like Christina's layout, because I really did. It was really pretty, and I love the tags, and I love all the color, and oh my gosh, I had a hard time not using Maggie Holmes' Chasing Dreams, but I really wanted to use this Pink Fresh Studio because it had all this art and these photos are black and white because I am using a lot of color, and I wanted this story to be more about my daughter looking at this image than actually what it was. So this is a picture of my daughter. We went to the Tacoma Art Museum, oh gosh, a couple of months ago in June now. It feels like it was just yesterday, but it wasn't. So at the beginning of the summer, we went to the art museum, and we were looking. We've decided that we want to go to quite a few of the museums this summer. That's one of the things that we want to do. And so we hit the art museum. We hadn't been there yet. And this is the first time that my kids were, I think, in a real art museum. We've done a lot of other stuff and went in a lot of other museums. But I think this was the first like real art museum. And and so Caden's looking at this. She looks at this painting and it's very abstract and all that. And she's just like, that's kind of bad, Mom, isn't it? Don't you think that picture is not that good? And so I was explaining to her that, well, part of art is just is expressing yourself, right? I mean, and I just thought it was funny because kids, especially at this age, I mean, they're starting to get better art wise, but usually my kids still do a lot of paintings that I'm like, okay, what is that, right? So we were discussing about how to tell, like, if you could figure out the meaning behind the photo or the image, the creation that the artist made. And so she's standing there and she starts turning around and she like almost stands on her head to look at it to see if she could see it from a different view. And it was quite funny. And I'm glad I took these images of her just like doing this because this is her. This is Kaden. She is in it with her whole body and she's gonna do what she needs to do to like get things figured out. So she stood there for a while trying to figure out this piece and figure out what the meaning was behind this because she just didn't understand it. And it was quite the experience. And like I said, I'm glad that I could get some pictures of it. And it was really fun to just document. So anyway, so I had fun playing around with this. And because of the nature of the actual photos and the meaning behind them, I really felt like I had this room to play with the scrap lift itself. So I did use that one frame that I had made before that was a shaker frame. So I'll make sure I have links below so that you can see how I made those. I just added sequins to them and then there's a heart in there that's a felt heart. And I really thought the colors went really well with a lot of the other stuff. So I'm just building this title and I had to kind of finagle a few things. But I kind of like that it's wonky and different. And then I add this chipboard and then in a minute I'm going to start working on all, and I'm sorry, man, the light was really funky. It must have been cloudier when I first started and then the sun kind of started beating in. I'm sorry about that. It's kind of overexposed a little. I have windows all around and it's fun and nice, but sometimes it affects the way shadows are. But so I'm working on embellishing because I really wanted to try to stick with a lot of the embellishing in the frames because that's one of the nice things I like about frames is that you can do embellishing pretty much like in it or right around it and keep everything contained. And I really wanted to play with the pops of black. So I'm going to put that Chamel button up at the top because I'm not sure where I want to put it, but I do want to use it. And I want to add a couple more layers over here on the side. But I do like those glasses from the Paige Evans line. I'm going to cut that out and use it. I really like the Dear Lizzie wood pieces. I will apologize that I lost like the last, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes probably of me actually doing it. So it probably was only a few more minutes left of me finishing embellishing. So, but you'll see them all in the close-ups. I didn't do too much more. Just adding a few more things to those frames. I added quite a bit of the die cuts I added a few die cuts from the Wild at Heart Cocoa Vanilla line because I added a few pieces from there and I added a punch piece that I'm going to be putting on in a second, that I put the date on underneath the title. But I kind of play around with it. I moved things around a lot on here just to kind of get the balance right, because I did change it up quite a bit. But I did try to stay true with this, and I like the idea of having all the frames and all that stuff. So this is going to be really fun. And Roxanne is going to be scraplifting this tomorrow, so don't miss out on hers. And if you haven't seen everybody else's, make sure you look in the info box below, because I'll have links to all the other ladies. There's quite a few videos from the days before, because I'm near the end of the line this week, or this time. But check everyone out, because this is super, super fun. And it takes a while for us to get through with this, but then once it's done, it's so fun. So I had a blast doing this, and I hope you guys have a blast watching the series, and I'll see you guys later. Have a great scrappy week. Bye!